Beautiful weather outside. I think we've got like 160 amps or something. Oh yeah, we've got 90 amps outside. And this is probably the limit I have set the chargers to charge the battery. Because we've got so much sunshine now, I can charge them slowly. A couple of videos ago, we had a look at the installation and commissioning of this charging station here. And I've used it now for probably 2 months. Well, I should better say my wife has used it, because she's using it every single day. And I must really say, this is one of the best devices Victron has ever made. You know, I'm driving electric for the last 9 years. Is it? Yeah, since 2015. And I've seen a lot of wall boxes and charging stations out there. But this product here is getting better and better. It is just amazing. And after the last video, Victron got in contact with me, more specifically the designer, creator and inventor of this Victron EV charging station, Lucian. He got in contact with me and sent me an email and also attached the beta version of the newest firmware for this EV charging station. So thank you very much, Lucian, for sending me the newest beta version of this firmware here. I have already installed it and I want to show you this new software, which will be actually public end of this week, next week. In the next 5 to 10 days, it comes out as a full public version anyway. But I have got it already, so I'm very excited to show you what's going on. Guys, welcome back to the Off-Grid Garage here in super sunny and hot Australia. Look at this. And I've cleaned up all my number mess. Thank you for 97,258 subscribers. You are freaking amazing. I guess we are very close to getting a bigger door here, huh? We need to add 1 digit very soon. Thank you very much for your support, guys. So, and once you log in with the IP address to the charging station, it's asking you for a username and password. Log in. And the first thing you can see is the new design of this whole software now, of the whole web backend of this EV charger station. And when we have a look at the VRM portal and the overall design of it, the layout of the charging station backend looks very similar now. It has the logo here in the top left-hand corner, all the menu points here on the left, and the diagram with the energy flow here right in the middle. And this is pretty much in line with the Victron VRM. You've got the menus here on the left and the power flow here in the middle. You can also hide the menu now. And furthermore, there is also a button for a full screen mode. So if you have this running on a dashboard, on a monitor somewhere, full screen mode, no menus at all. Yeah, and right next to it, there is also a light, dark and auto mode now. This is how the light version looks like, but I really like the dark version of it. I'm really a big fan of dark mode. It is so much nicer to the eyes. So, and this is basically the new dashboard they have created now. We have a combined solar yield box now, which gives you the AC and DC power coming from your solar system. So this is basically in line with the total solar in the Victron VRM. Gives you the sum of your PV inverters plus all your MPPT solar charge controllers in one box. So 6 kilowatt coming in at the moment. We're obviously charging the battery, which is at 47%. The inverter charger, so either the Multi Plus or the Quattro, is in this box. We have an AC load of 680 watts at the moment. Pool pump is running, some other loads. And as you have seen, the car is not there anymore. My wife just went to the grocery store and I said, no, I want to make this video this morning. She shouldn't be far off and the car will be back, and then we can have a bit of a play and see how the charging station actually works in the different modes. Here and underneath we can see the session cost, the session saved cost, and the total energy we have used so far with the station and the vehicle. Almost 200 kilowatt hours into this one vehicle only. Well, I tell you, she's driving a lot with this car. Here in Australia, the Aura comes with 7 years warranty plus 3 years from the dealership on top. So 10 years warranty, unlimited kilometers, and it looks like she's really using that. She's driving a lot. And up here we have our selector for the charging mode, manual, auto or scheduled. Obviously in manual mode we can change the charging current from 6 amps all the way up to 15 amps, what I have set. The circuit to the Victron EV charging station is protected with a 16 amp RCBO. So I set this to 15 amp and that's totally fine. I could even set it to 12 amps or something. We don't need to charge fast. And then obviously you've got your start stop button here to start charging, stop charging when the vehicle is connected. So down here you can see the button for the dashboard, and we also have another button now which gives you more details about the charging station. So if we click on this, we can see the charging station, 0 watts, and it is disconnected because the vehicle is not there. So once my wife comes back, we go into this screen here and we want to see the animation. I've only seen it online, I haven't seen it personally myself. So the car actually reverses in and then connects to the charging station. There's a bit of an animation running then, and then a new charging session starts. Yeah, it gives you the information how long the car is charging already, how much energy you have used for this session cost, how much you have saved, and also the energy you have totally charged into this vehicle since we got this charging station installed. You've got the same mode selector here at the top and can change the charging speed and start-stop charging. And I want to show you here on the display. Yeah, look at this. Isn't that beautiful? It's waiting for the car now. Huh? Random colors. It's just waiting for it. Okay, so the display looks a bit different as well now. We've got a dark mode in here as well. And you can see pretty much the same dashboard as we had just had on the computer screen. Yeah, our solar yield, battery, the multi-plus, how much AC load we have, and what goes into the EV charging station. You can switch mode, you can start stop, and you can change the charging current down here as well. You can also click on the EV charging station, which brings you to the same EV specific charging display as we have seen before. The car is not there. You can change the charging speed here manually, and it gives you all the information, and you can also switch mode. Yeah, and there's the back button in the top left hand corner, brings you back into the overview. So this is a very clean and intuitive user interface now. Super easy to operate, super easy to read. I wonder if I change to light mode on the computer, if it changes in here to light mode as well. Let's give this a quick try. So if I go here and say light mode, no, this one stays actually dark, it looks like. Okay, fair enough. It looks good to me. We don't want to use light mode anyway. I should make a poll here on the channel and ask people if they prefer light mode or dark mode. I think a lot of people prefer dark mode now. Alright, so let's go back into our dashboard. Okay, let's have a look at the menu structure here. So obviously we are on the dashboard. Then down here we've got our network settings for connecting the station to your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. You can also disable Bluetooth if your charging station is in a public space, or you can change the PIN code so nobody else can connect to it via Bluetooth if they have reception to it. Down here we've got the general tab, which gives us information about the charger itself. So here you have to define where the charging station is located in your Victron system. Is it on the output of your inverter, or is it on the input of your inverter if you're still grid connected? Obviously, because I am off grid, it can be only at the inverter AC out, but you can make the selection here to get this right. Then we've got the EV charger auto start, which is enabled in my case. That means when my wife comes home and plugs in the vehicle, it starts charging automatically. If this is disabled, you have to press start on the display of the charging station. So here for us, auto charging makes totally sense. And in the next step, you can select if the contactor in the EV charging station stays on after the car is fully charged or turns off and disconnects the whole car from the power. Yeah, this is important for vehicles which do battery preconditioning or preheating and pre-cooling. If the contactor is off, obviously this energy then comes from the car's battery. But if the contactor is still on, the EV charging station will deliver this energy to the vehicle, and you don't use any power from your drive battery of the vehicle. So I have set this one to on because the Aura has a function where it actually cools and heats the battery if it gets too cold, but it only does it if it's plugged into a charging station. So the contactor in our case needs to be on. And then you tell the charging station what is the maximum current of this circuit. As I said, we've got a 16 amp breaker, so I set this one to 15 amp. And we have charged for hours and hours and hours here, and there was nothing warm or something. So 15 amp and a 16 amp breaker works totally fine. We can also set a minimum charge current, and this is important for the auto mode of the charging stations. We talk about this in a second. So this is the minimum charging current your car can do. As it says here, the Renault Zoe, for example, can only charge with a minimum current of 10 amps. Yeah, but the Aura goes all the way down to 6 amps, which is fantastic. And actually we use this quite often. Then you have the, what was CP again? Charge pilot or something. This is the calibration of this communication pin from the charging station to the vehicle. And at the beginning, the Aura wouldn't charge on the charging station. And then I read the manual and it said, well, you have to press the calibrate button and it communicates with the car. Well, established communication and everything worked fine afterwards. And you should calibrate this every time you change the charging cable from the station to the vehicle. Because this also takes into account the voltage drop on your cables, connections and charging ports and everything. So if you have multiple cars charging from this one station, it is recommended to keep the cable plugged in. And then the power calibration here is actually fairly accurate. So, and then you can select either a single power calibration here, or you can use a power calibration table. This is a brand new feature which wasn't there in the 1.3 version of their firmware. Because the only thing the station actually knows is the current going into the vehicle. It does neither know the voltage at the port output, nor does it know the power factor of your vehicle. Well, it is impossible to show the accurate charging power of your vehicle if you don't have all the details. But with this factor here, we can actually calibrate the shown output power of the charging station. And for some installations and vehicles, it may be enough to use only one power calibration factor here, and then it shows you the correct power. But with our vehicle, for example, I could never get this right, yeah? It showed the correct power if I charged with 8 amps, but if I charged with 12 amps or higher, the power output was not correct anymore. The charging station actually showed a different power output than it actually was. And to overcome this problem, they have now implemented a calibration table. So you select this one, go in here, and now you can compensate for every single charging current, yeah, from 6 all the way up to 14 in our case. And it uses this calibration table now to show the correct power output to your vehicle. And down here at the bottom you can see the actual power in kilowatt once the vehicle is connected, and can calibrate it with these two options. So here under GX device you can actually enable and disable the communication. You can set the IP address of your GX device, and you also set the VRM portal ID. So the charging station shows actually up in your VRM. You can see it over here. If you don't have the IP address of your GX device, you can automatically search for it on your network, and you can also check the communication is established between your charging station and your GX device. So, and now we have all the charging specific values we can set in the charging stations. So this is the intelligence of the charging station. And all these values, options and features down here are only to define your automatic mode. Yeah. So we can set a start charging at backup battery state of charge. I have set my one to 40%. So I need to have at least 40% in my battery shelf. Otherwise the car won't charge in auto mode. Manual, of course, you can override this and you can charge whenever you want. But in automatic mode, I need to have at least 40% state of charge in my battery here. And then the vehicle will start charging automatically from excess solar. If there's not enough solar, it will drain the battery to 38% and then stops charging again. And 38% is pretty much what I need for the rest of the day, overnight, for the hot water, pool pump and everything, to survive until the next morning when the sun comes back. So you can set these 2 points to whatever you want. If you want to charge your home battery first, you can set this one here to 90%, for example, and only then the vehicle charging will kick in. Yeah, you can very precisely define if your home battery has priority over the vehicle battery or the other way around. I'm happy if I have got 40% in the battery. This lasts me the whole night until the next day. And at this point I can use all the incoming solar to charge the battery in the vehicle then. So it prioritizes the vehicle. If you set this higher to 90%, it obviously prioritizes your home battery first. So, and the next 3 settings are a bit tricky to understand, but I try my best to explain it to you. We've got the allow battery grid power in auto mode and allow low excess solar power in auto mode, and also the battery grid power timeout timer. These 3 settings are linked together. So the timer and this setting here only work if the main setting here at the top is actually enabled. At the moment I've got both enabled, but let's pretend we have both disabled. Yeah. So we don't allow any power from the battery or from the grid to charge our vehicle. And if we go back to the dashboard for a second, we know we can only charge the car as low as with 6 amps. Yeah, this is specific to most of the vehicles. I think only Tesla charges with 5 amps, but all the other vehicles at least 6, 8 or even 10 amps is the minimum requirement to start charging. So 6 amps times 230 volts makes 1380 watts. And this is the surplus power your solar needs to deliver to start actually charging. So it looks at your AC loads, whatever you use elsewhere, not in the vehicle charger, and you need plus the additional 1380 watts additionally to start a 6 amp charging into your vehicle. Yeah, if you have that, like in this case here, if the car would be connected now, it would start charging because we have a surplus of 1380 watts at least. If a cloud comes, your solar production goes down and you don't have these 1380 watts surplus power anymore, vehicle charging will stop immediately. Yeah, so you can end up stopping, starting, stopping, starting, stopping, starting, depending on your cloud and sun situation at the moment. And that's why they have put in this feature, allow battery and grid power for auto mode. So if we turn this one on here, it also automatically enables the timer. Sits on 60 minutes. Yeah, going back to our dashboard now. So vehicle charges because we have a surplus of 1380 watts. Cloud comes, we don't have this surplus of power anymore. Usually the car would stop charging. But in this case, you will see this later when we test this, when the car is back and connected. We will have a fourth box down here and the timer starts running of 60 minutes. Yeah, and it keeps the car charging from your solar and also drains your battery a bit to provide the additional energy to at least supply these 6 amps into your car, these 1380 watts. So solar plus battery charging your vehicle now, but only until the timer runs out. So, and then we have additionally this option here, allow low excess solar power. If we enable this one as well and go back into our dashboard, the system will now look at the AC loads you have elsewhere, not in the vehicle charger, elsewhere, yeah, what you use in your house and everything. If the solar production is still higher than what you use elsewhere, there's no timer. Yeah, it keeps charging and depleting your battery basically to charge the vehicle. So this is the absolute vehicle priority setting. Still uses this bit of solar coming in, but also uses power from the battery to charge your vehicle. If your solar production goes below what you use in your house, the timer comes on as well, and after 60 minutes the whole charging process will stop. So with these two functions, or three including the timer, you can really fine-tune this system here to make sure you will either prioritize your vehicle charging if you are over this 40% in my case, and not start depleting it to charge your vehicle if there's not enough solar anymore. Then we have an overload protection, which I should actually enable here. This is actually disabled. I should enable this. And this is information the Victron charging station gets from the inverter charger, so either the Multiplus or the Quattros. If there is an overload detected with your inverter charger, the charging station will reduce charging your vehicle immediately. We can also see the input current limit of the Multiplus here, which sits on 9 amp. This is when my Phoenix inverter kicks in, or your generator, or your grid comes on. It just gives you the information how much additional current you can expect if there is an AC in your inverter charger. And then I haven't played with this function here, backup battery emulation. I think this is for if you don't have a battery but want to use some of these features here. You can just emulate a battery. Not sure if this gives you actually more features. No, it doesn't. So I'm not 100% sure what this is for. I've never used it because I have a real battery. I don't need to emulate one. And then down here we've got the IP address whitelisting. If you have more than one GX device in your installation, so you can enable this and then select the IP address of your GX device you want to have the charging station connect to. Otherwise it may introduce itself to both of your GX devices. Okay, we click on save here. Get a nice notification down here, confirmation. Alright, and then we've got the display menu. When the display is active, we set this one to 100% brightness. And after a timeout of 5 minutes, it goes back to 10% brightness only, so reduces the brightness of the screen. You can also lock the charger display here when there's no activity. So if it's in a public space, nobody else can actually tap on it and stop the charging process, for example. And you can also hide the Wi-Fi credentials, of course, if it is in a public space. Here, not important for me. You obviously can set the date and time. See, it's now charging the home battery here with 100 amps, which is the threshold I have set in the DVCC. Current limit, 100 amps. And it also supplies the excess solar power into the vehicle charger now. Okay, these were all the points under general. Scheduler, you can obviously set your schedule tasks here. Multiple schedules are possible. Also, you can set a defined charging current for any of these schedule timers. So pretty cool if you have a tariff which varies and you want the car connect and charge at the cheapest option. So you can select and set this here in the scheduler menu. Then of course we've got the light ring, which is very excessive what you can do with it. You'll see in the colorful lighting. Let's see what it does right now when it charges. So it is now charging. I've got the blue light sitting here now. And you can see how the blue light goes around and then erases itself again and then comes back. It's a bit of a gimmick, but it's also cool and kind of handy because you can see with one glance what the charger actually is doing. If it's fully charged, it's fully green. If it's waiting for sun, for example, if we don't have enough solar or something, it has this yellow breathing. Yeah, you can change whatever you like. Just go nuts. Here under Access, you can change the username and password to log into the charging station. We also have the firmware update function down here where you can choose a file and update the firmware, obviously. And we also have a backup and reset function. So you can actually export all these settings into a file. And if you have to reset the charging station to factory default, you can just import the settings again and everything works as before. When you do firmware updates of the charging station, it keeps all the information, all the settings, all the values as they were before. So there's no need to do a backup before you do a firmware upgrade. And you can also do a system reboot here, which I never needed. So this gives you an overview about all the functionality of the charging station now. It is pretty cool, it's pretty deep. So you can actually customize and set up this charging station as per your needs, as you want it, as it fits into your lifestyle, into your system, depending on how much battery capacity, how much solar you have. If you are grid connected, off-grid system, it doesn't matter. It works with all kind of systems. And the cool thing is you can use this charging station actually without a Victron GX device, but only in manual mode or in the scheduled mode, of course. The auto mode does not work without GX because the charging station does not get the information from your solar system, for example. Yeah, makes sense. So it doesn't know how much solar is coming in and how much power is available to charge your home battery and your vehicle at the same time then. While here it does the balance act and knows exactly what's going on. But even in the manual mode, the charging station gives you a lot of options many other charging stations out there don't have. Yeah, you can actually change the charging speed to your vehicle. And there are a lot of EVs out there where you cannot charge that or where you cannot set a charging time. Yep, you usually plug them in somewhere and they take whatever they can, whatever the charging station can deliver. Well, with the Victron charging stations, you can actually limit the power intake for your vehicle. It is a manual process, but you can still do it. The same with the scheduler. You can charge the vehicle overnight or during the day when power prices are very cheap or abundant renewable energy is available. 15 times 230 is 3,450 watts. So if we go back in general, you should see the actual power down here. We are now charging with 15 amps and I have to reduce this one until it actually shows. Okay, because we are between 14 and 16 now, it is probably best if you change the charging mode to manual and then set 6 amps, 8 amps, 10 amps, 12, 14 amps and set these sliders accordingly so they show the correct charging power here into the vehicle. Okay, I won't do this now. It will just show the wrong charging power at the moment here, but that's fine. Okay, let me go into the Victron Connect app and turn off some of the solar charge controllers. Battery disable charger, okay. Yeah, you can see the solar yield is actually going down already. Okay, 2 solar charge controllers are off. And the third one, gone. There's only one side. I think only the west roof and the tilt system is still running. So now we are simulating basically a cloud coming in. We have got less solar available. And we are still charging the home battery with 414 watts. And all the rest of the power goes into the vehicle at the moment. Because we are over 40% state of charge, it uses all the power it can get to charge the vehicle. But still charges the battery with around 200 to 500 watts, depending on the availability. Okay, let's be brutal and turn off the last solar MPPT off as well. Another 3.2 kilowatts gone. Disable charger. Now we have only the tilt system left, yeah, 1.5, 1.3 kilowatts. And this is obviously not enough to maintain 15 amps into the vehicle, and you can already see how the power into the vehicle goes down, and we are discharging the battery now. And this is exactly the setting we have talked about it before. When you enable this, it takes actually power from the battery or from your grid to charge the vehicle. So we are now reached 6 amps. Yeah, it shows us around 1.38 kilowatt now, and this is a 6 amps times 230. Gives you roughly the power the car takes at the moment. But as you can see, we still got around 800 watts of power we use elsewhere. And the incoming solar is just not enough, so we are still depleting our battery. But as you can see, there's no timer here at the moment, yeah? We have set allow low access solar power for auto mode. If I disable this function and we save this, we go back into our dashboard. We will see the timer starting here in a separate box again, and now it's running the 60 minutes down because solar is not enough. And after these 60 minutes, it would actually stop charging the vehicle. Yeah? As long as we are still discharging the battery here and there's not a surplus of 1380 watts at least from solar, the timer keeps running. Of course, if we introduce more solar now, the timer will stop and the car keeps charging. And now if you have clouds coming and going all the time, the vehicle would stop and start charging with every single cloud. And this timer basically prevents this from happening. And the battery is just filling in the gaps when you have a cloud, when you have solar, battery recharges. And with the next cloud, you're using this energy out of your home battery again to charge the vehicle as well. So you can really fine tune these settings here, the behavior of the charging station with these settings here. So I turn this back on, enable, because I don't really care. As long as we are over 38% state of charge of the home battery, I want to keep charging the vehicle anyway. Okay, let's turn on some solar again. Enable charger. I only enabled one, and we should see the solar production ramping up again. Here it comes, 4.4 kilowatts. And now it realizes, oh, we've got a surplus of solar energy. I can actually charge the vehicle faster. And this is exactly what it does. Yeah, we are on 7 amps already. 8 amps. It's slowly trying to find this point. But we still have excess power of about 2000 watts going into the home battery at the moment. So it will actually ramp up the effort to charge the vehicle by a lot. Until this one is at around 200 to 500 watts. And then it will maintain this charging speed into the vehicle. So we won't see the full 15 amps now. It will find the sweet spot. So it's still charging your home battery just a tiny bit, but the main power of your system goes into the vehicle as per our settings. So we're now charging with 13 amps, so almost full power as per our definition. And we are still charging the home battery with 600 watts. I think it will go to 14 amps, maybe even 15. Alright, I have just turned off the west side MPPT and turned on the big shed because this is a smaller array and we will have less solar production then. Yeah, you can see immediately when solar production goes down, the car charges slower as well. And I've tested this with the Tesla Model 3 as well, and it works a treat. So and now it probably will stay on these 7 amps here. This is like 380, 350 watts into your home battery, and all the rest goes into the vehicle at the moment, because there's not enough solar there to charge the car faster. So it finds always the sweet spot here, which is now at 7 amps at the moment. Yeah. Now it goes to 8 amp. There's a bit more solar coming in, and it uses this excess solar now to charge the vehicle. So it's pretty cool to see what it actually does when there are clouds coming in and everything. Yeah, now I'm watching the Victron VRM all day long, but now there is something else to watch, which is the EV charging station. And obviously while the car is charging now, the actual plug is locked in the car. There's a little pin on the top here, which is preventing someone to unplug your car. So, and with the Aura, there's no way to actually unlock the charging cable while the car is charging. Yeah, you need to go inside the car, go into the display, into a menu and say stop charging, and then it releases the cable. But now with the Victron charging stations, my wife can just come here and click on the stop button. You can hear the contactor, and now the charging cable is released without opening the door and going into the menu. Yeah, and then when she comes back, plugs back in, because we have auto charge enabled, it starts charging straight away, so there's no need to press start. And now obviously a new session will start because we have just interrupted it. But I just wanted to show you why the display is also important for some cars, because you cannot release the charging cable. Once charging is finished with the Aura, it will automatically release the charging cable. Obviously it is still plugged in, but the security pin is already out, so you can just go there and unplug the vehicle then when it's fully charged. This does not work though when the car is locked. Yeah, when you're in a public space, nobody can unplug your charging cable, obviously. All right, and now the charging station has found the sweet spot again, which is 8 amps into the vehicle. We are charging the home battery as well as the vehicle from the available solar. Okay, let me turn on all the solar charge controllers again. All right, all MPPTs have been enabled again. We should see the solar yield ramping up again. We're already at 11 amps. And it slowly creeps up. The more power is available, the more it charges your vehicle with. I have forgotten to ask Lucian about this session cost here, because this always shows 0. Is the charger actually aware that we are not charging from the grid? So I'm not sure where this cost factor is actually coming from. It always shows 0 for me, but the saved costs down here are obviously the 20 cents Australian I have set in the system. Okay, my friends, I think this gives you a very good overview over these Victron EV charging stations. I'm very, very pleased with the new software as well as with the charging station itself. I think it's one of the best charging stations on the market actually at the moment. Yeah, I just did a bit of shopping around before I started this video, and I found this one here at Springer's here in Australia for $670 Australian, including GST. This is the same charging station as I have next door, and under $700 now. This is far, far cheaper than any other charging station here on the market, at least in Australia. And with all these features and integrating into the Victron ecosystem, you've got the community behind it. In this station you can change the Modbus TCP registers, and it comes with a 5-year warranty. I don't know about any other wallbox or charging stations with these features, this price, this warranty and this functionality. Lucian also sent me a link to the webinar where he talked about the EV charging stations, how everything started, how everything developed. He goes through all the features, all the functions, how to integrate, how to set up this charging station. And interestingly, he was also talking about the new EV charging station from Victron, which will come out end of next year or beginning of 2026 or something. It will have a complete new design and some very interesting features. And this is the Modbus TCP table Victron is publishing as well. So you can actually use some magic stuff and change parameters inside the charging station. For example, how much power it still charges your home battery with while it charges your vehicle. Yeah, we have seen this 250 to 500 watts. You can either increase or decrease that with the Modbus TCP registers. And a lot of more settings. I'll put the links for this Modbus TCP register as well as the Victron webinar where Lucian talked about the EV charging stations. I'll link this all under the video down below. Very cool and very interesting to watch. So before we are going to end this video here, I want to quickly show you how the EV charging station from Victron shows up in Home Assistant. When you have the Victron integration installed, it gives you all these entities: charging time, current, energy, firmware version, the power of each individual phase, the maximum charge current you have set, and some other numbers and features so you can start building your own dashboard. And I have set my one up here in Home Assistant and share this with my wife so she can see the car is already charged. It took it 8 minutes and 20 seconds. What is the power and the current going in? Well, this is more for me than for her. And how much power the car has used in this charging session. So pretty cool. Okay, my friends, I think this is all for today's video. A bit of an update about the Victron EV charging stations, what my experience is so far. And I also wanted to share the new beta firmware with the charging stations, which will be public in the next coming days. And of course, thank you to Ed Jones from Power and Unplugged in Delaware, Ohio, for sponsoring this EV charging stations so we can all have a look how it works, learn from it. And of course, I share my long-term perspective and experience with it. And also a big thank you to Lucian and the whole Victron team for providing me with this beta firmware so I can show it here on the channel before it actually goes live. And I'm sure I will show more of their equipment here on the channel in the future. Don't forget to watch Lucian's webinar, I link this down below, as well as all the other information about the EV charging station from Victron. So as I said, at the moment I cannot see a better deal out there for a wall box with these features and warranty. I got this t-shirt here from Ed as well. He put it in the box with all these stickers and the charging station. As always, guys, leave all your questions, all your comments down below under the video here. Don't send me emails, please. I'm unable to read them all or even respond to them. And it is always a shame you put all this effort and time into writing an email to me and then you don't get a reply. That's not great, right? So please don't. Okay, my friends, until the next video when we do something battery BMS related again, I think. I really want to test out this test battery before we actually go to this and have a look at the newest, the JKESS BMS. And this will probably be one of the first we will check out with a new test battery here. So we have to get this one up and running again, check it out, test it, top balance it, and then we have a look at the brand new 5th generation state of charge balance BMS from JK, the JKESS. How it looks like? I posted more pictures already on the community tab on my channel. And of course, a special thanks goes always to all these people who are donating to the channel, buying me a beer or a coffee, clicking the thanks button underneath or becoming a channel member. There's always some extra stuff in there, which I'm not making public, so you get something in return for your recurring contribution. And until the next video, guys, you stay charged, stay safe, and thanks again for watching. See you then, bye bye. The car is actually fully charged. Look at this, green.